Michael Hayden, a great actor, is our guest on Personally Speaking. He's been nominated for a Tony Award for his performance in Carousel. Importantly, he's now on Broadway again in a great play called The Honey Trap. Stay with us. Hello and welcome to Personally Speaking. I'm your host, Msgr Jim Lisante, and Tony-nominated actor Michael Hayden joins me now. Michael is a graduate of the Juilliard School of Performing Arts and made his Broadway debut in the role of Billy in the 1994 Broadway revival of Carousel. Additional Broadway credits include Cabaret, Elf, Merrily We Roll Along, All My Sons, and Judgment at Nuremberg, which earned him a Tony nomination. He has been seen on screen in Murder One, Chicago Fire, The Good Fight, FBI, Most Wanted. Michael is currently starring in Irish Repertory Theater's New York premiere of The Honey Trap. The Honey Trap is set in Belfast in 1979 at the height of the Troubles, the nationalist conflict in Northern Ireland. Michael is married to his wife, Elizabeth, and he's here with us today to talk about his life, his career, his Catholic faith, and the values that matter the most to him. Joining me now, I'm so pleased to welcome, to Personally Speaking, the great actor, Michael Hayden. Michael Hayden's our guest. We welcome him to Personally Speaking. Michael, I'm going to be one of those people soon, I hope, that gets to see The Honey Trap, this great new play that you're in New York. Can you tell us a little bit about it, and who's the audience you're looking for to see something like this?
Well, it's always tough for me to say the audience I want to see because this play really speaks to all ages. I mean, the Irish Rep has such a strong following and loyal following, so I'm glad that we're bringing this play to them. But this is a play that wants to be seen by all ages, by everyone. It's a play that explores the Troubles, right? The British occupation in Ireland, but fundamentally, it's a play that explores if I hate you, I can hurt you, right? The British and the Irish and the British, Israelis, Palestinians. I mean, so that's fundamentally what it explores through the lens of through flashbacks into the 70s, my character and another character, through current, much of the first act is an interview that goes into flashback. And then the second act, we find ourselves with my character going back to Ireland and confronting a woman who was involved in the murder of my friend. A honey trap is that sort of, sorry, I'm moving my camera here. A honey trap is a sort of spy jargon for someone getting seduced, thinking they're going to have a night of with a partner, and then they get killed, and that's what happens. So it's beautiful, brutal, timely. It's a full meal deal.
Yeah, really. Michael Hayden's our guest. Michael, before you got involved with this production, did you have much knowledge of, or did you follow the history of the Troubles in Ireland?
Not really, if I'm honest. Did I know about them? As much as one knows about something, I love history, but it's not a part of history that I've really explored. I think. So no, I did not know a lot about that specific conflict. Certainly not inside the mind and the body of a soldier who's gone through war, and so obviously I've learned an enormous amount doing this play.
Michael Hayden, I guess. Michael, back to family of origin. All of us have gone through the high school and college place thing, and our parents love seeing us on stage. But for most of us, acting is an avocation, not a vocation. Your family of origin, were they okay with their son picking to go into the world of the arts?
Well, my dad, God bless him, he recently passed away. I actually went to a Catholic university, his alma mater, St. John's University, Minnesota. And while I was there, I went there to study business and then decided actually, you know what? I want to go into acting. And in as much as my father, who was an IBM executive in businesses, that kind of business his whole life, couldn't remotely understand what the heck was the matter with me. But he supported me. And so no one else in my family, eight children, were actors or in the arts.
Wow.
So I think my father came around, once I went to Juilliard and began to work, and he never missed a single show I saw, even before, even at St. John's, even after that, before, even when he still thought it was crazy, he came to every single show. And so my family now, they get a kick out of it. Of course, they think it's quite fun that one of their brothers is doing this crazy thing that we do as actors.
One of the reasons it may be risky for anybody, of course, is the indefiniteness of it. For those who are listening or watching, Michael's not just this single guy doing acting, but he's a married man, a dad, and you don't know, do you, where the next job is coming from?
Well, it's funny. People always say, "Oh, you go into acting, it's such a hard business." Well, I mean, Father, I could ask you, how is your business easy? I mean,
No.
you might be employed, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that fully as a joke either.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes it is hard. Other times it's really easy, and suddenly you're getting offers, and I mean, we see faces of people that are highly successful, and a lot of people we don't know who are highly successful. It's my experience that life itself is pretty challenging,
Yeah.
with its wonderful moments and its challenging moments. And my business is no different. I suppose for someone who's coming up in the business, hasn't made a name for themselves, and the changeable nature of the business, the fact that you're your own product, the product I'm selling today is different than the one I sold 20 years ago. So you're constantly, you know, um, hoping that you stay relevant. But I got friends who are in all sorts of different businesses. Not one of them has told me how easy life was.
Right. Right. Now, if you look Michael Hayden up, you will see that he has in fact been an actor who works an awful lot in all realms of entertainment. But I mention that because I don't know any of my friends who are actors who don't tell me that they have been perfect for a particular role and it did not happen for them. When the role you thought you were perfect, what doesn't happen? How does Michael Hayden handle disappointment or rejection?
I'd love to say, well, have I got better at rejection? Yeah.
Okay.
Better in the sense of mm, 95% of the time, I don't take it personally. I really don't. I mean, it's not personal. Um, you never know what job you're going to get because you didn't get that job, what job you're going to be free for. But rejection's not easy. I mean, it'd be great to say, yeah, I'm a product and I put myself out there. If they don't like it, it's just the product. But does it piss me off at times? Does it frustrate me? Do I want to shake them at times and say, don't you realize how brilliant I am? My
Yeah.
God, what's the matter with you? It's hard. And it's hard to keep taking those hits. And we take a lot of hits. And unless you get to the point that you're at such a level you're being offered roles, which is what all of us want, so
Hmm.
that we can make our decisions of how we want to stay relevant and make more money. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Um, I've just I don't once I do an audition, I push it out of my head as best I can. It's up to them. I put it out there, their choice. But yeah, it hurts a lot more when it's the ones that you're like, oh man, I know exactly how to
Right.
play that
Right.
part.
Michael Hayden's our guest. Michael, what did you, as a guy who's very active in theater, and it's where I've had the privilege of seeing you a number of times, what did you do during the pandemic?
During the pandemic, I was actually in Chicago, and it was right. I just done All My Sons on Broadway, the last revival with Jack O'Brien, the Roundabouts revival, and we were about to be moving back to New York, and but then the pandemic hit, so boom, and so I was not in a position where I couldn't make money, and I worked for Trader Joe's, and we were considered frontline workers. So I had a job, and we were open with masks, and um, thank God for them. I mean,
Yeah.
truly, I mean, it's an amazing company,
Yeah.
and uh, I was very grateful not to be stuck in my home like so many, and I wasn't
Right.
isolated like so many. I was with other people every day. It's vital.
We had Jack O'Brien as a guest. What a delightful, interesting guy he is and stuff.
He's a Jack is a joy. I don't know that's the best word to describe him. He's this love of life, you
Yeah,
know.
he's a funny, sharp, intelligent man and a great human being, I think, as well. Let's go
Yes.
to something that I think is, again, you talked about the topicality of the honey trap. But Alice McDermott
Yeah.
has been a guest on our program several times. She's a good friend, and she wrote the original novel for Charming Billy, where you starred in. I mention that because it's a 1999 film, the book, of course, way before that. But uh, that film could have been made yesterday in terms of the violence of our society and what leads people to it. Trying to understand the mentality of the shooter. We're certainly going through that recently. Um, where did you study or get your insight into the personality of the character you played?
Well, that book, um, I would love to say I did a copious amounts of research into people that snap and kill.
Mm,
Um, and I did do some, but how do I put this? Uh, There's a seed of brokenness in all of us.
yeah.
And as an actor, one of the challenges is to water the seed that connects with the character, water that. Now, I've had a lot of people asking me questions like this, especially right now with this character, because he's got a real darkness about him. And they basically the question was, aren't you afraid for your psychology? My only answer is I don't experience it that way.
Hmm.
Do I understand brokenness? Do I understand a kind of rage? Yes. Have I ever wanted to hurt physically or kill another human being? No.
Hmm.
So, but have I ever experienced bleakness, blackness, isolation, being so apart from another, being numb? Yes, I've understand. I understand elements of that. We want from me, and I don't want to too much about my process because it's boring. But you water a bit of that, and you see how you can enter into those moments where the camera needs to catch a kind of inner desolation, rage that isn't expressed in word, and that is finally only expressed in sound or action. And that was something I understood enough, I felt, and then I was able to experience enough to do justice to the character. But you don't want to hang out there too long.
No.
Unlike a play, you're grateful in a film because you get that take. I'm not one of those people that wants to stay in character every minute, not for a part like that, because I don't think it's psychologically safe. But do you have to go to very dark places? That's our job. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Michael Hayden's our guest, a wonderful actor who's got a play opening on New York. I hope our listeners and watchers will go to see The Honey Trap. Let me ask you this too, because it's intriguing to me. Uh, I had the chance to see you, Michael, years ago when you starred in Carousel. And now, Michael, as he mentioned, had gone to St. John's University out there in Minnesota. Then he switches to Juilliard. And unusual for a young actor that he then stars on a major Broadway production, gets nominated for a Tony and all that. But I mentioned that to you because I realized when I went back in my mind's eye to when I saw you perform as Billy Bigelow that it was a number of years ago. I guess what I'm getting at is, Michael, yesterday I was 30, today I'm 70. I don't know how it happened. The process of aging, know,
It's a it's a miracle. That's all.
it's a
It's
miracle.
just a
How did this
it's a
thing
miracle.
happen? Like, how do
Yeah,
you how
who
do you
knows?
give perspective to this thing called aging and not let it consume you or in any way paralyze you?
Well, it's funny. I'm 62. Of course, I feel the same way of what you just said. How did that happen? How did my children get to be 30 and 22? And I don't know that I reflect a lot about the age. As my grandfather once said to me when I asked him if he still found women attractive, and my grandfather's 85 at the time. He's like, Michael, I've got some news for you. I might be 85, but inside my eyes, when I look outwardly, he said, I'm still a young man. And he said, so of course I can see beauty. And um, I find it I experience my age the most, one, because I'm around younger people so often, like this show, but performing. I experience it then because I hear how they speak. I experience it when I need to text. I experience it in my body because my body has limitations and pains today. It doesn't usually, it doesn't usually have. I hope I experience it with a degree of wisdom and patience and a
Mm.
measured perception of the daily ups and downs of my life or in rehearsal that as a young man we were much more hot. Everything was important. Everything was now, now I'm a bit more, I don't talk, I listen hopefully a bit more. But like my grandfather said, in my eyes, when look at the world and when I experience this play, I don't experience my age. I don't think of it.
Mhm.
Um, um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I completely resonate with that. And unfortunately, there are a lot of pictures around of me in my 30s, and I say, what happened to that guy?
Oh, and of course, when I look in the mirror, I didn't say that. Yes, because I'm vain, and so I
Whoa.
spend as little time in front of the mirror as possible. It makes me feel far more handsome.
Michael Hayden's our guest, the great actor, but he's not only an actor, he's also a professor and a teacher of acting. And this is the background for my question. I had the privilege of teaching in the seminary homiletics, how to preach, how to give a homily. And I have to tell you that while I gave it my best shot, I realized some people have the gift of being able to speak in public and be effective. And
Yeah.
some you can teach technique to, but they're really never going to be great at it. And I'm just wondering with acting, is it about the grace of whatever you've been given when you were created? Or is it something that you as a professor can actually teach them to learn how to act effectively?
I absolutely think you can teach it. Absolutely. Acting is a practice, it's a process,
Okay.
right? There are practices that invite all the kinds of experiences you want to have that you're in the hunt for on stage. Immediate impulse, listening, being alive in a way that rivets an audience, having the vocal technique to be able to fill a house. Having said that, if everybody could do it at the highest levels, then we wouldn't put Gary Oldman, Meryl Streep,
Yeah.
Mark Rylance, Daniel Day-Lewis, you wouldn't be talking about Helen Mirren. I mean, you wouldn't be talking about certain Judi Dench, certain people in a different way.
Yeah.
There, there are people that, and believe me, they have a process and they work their asses off at it, just like Yo-Yo Ma. What's he do every day? He does his scales every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, are there scales for actors? Are there practices any actor can learn in a fine school with a fine teacher? Yeah, but are there also those among us who live at a higher level and do work that others can't do? Of course there are.
Okay.
And that's a gift.
Yeah.
In our context, perhaps we say grace, a gift, whatever. So what am I in the hunt for? To be in their company.
I love that. Michael Hayden's our guest. Michael, that was an autobiography by Katharine Hepburn years ago, and I appreciated its honesty. In fact, the name of the book was called Me, and she talked about her own personal narcissism. And she said, I never married, I never had children because it takes an unselfish heart to do that. And she said, I love the way she writes, I am a selfish pig. So I mentioned that about Katharine Hepburn because you had to be conscious, even when you were dating your wife, that marriage and raising a family is it's big. My rabbi friends say it's the hard way out to be married and raise a family, and I believe they're right. So, did you go through a period where you said, for the sake of my acting craft, I'm not going to have a family, or was it always something you said, I want it, I believe in it, and I'm going there?
Um, well, first of all, I mean, I applaud Katharine Hepburn because she was at least honest enough to say it.
Yeah,
There are people that don't admit it and then have families and struggle with their own desperate need to be the center of the universe all the time and the struggle with children and another. So she knew herself well enough to say that.
yeah,
God bless her.
yeah.
Um, I personally don't experience my work that way.
Hmm.
Um, I, how do I put this? Right now, for example, if my children were young, if we had an infant I'd be up with the infant. I'd be up helping feed the baby. Because I guarantee you, my partner, at the time, if it was now, Lizzie would never have said, "Oh, it's okay. You're in previews. Don't worry. I'll stay up every night for 2 weeks because you're in
Right.
previews and you've really got to focus on you. That
Yeah.
would not never have happened. And I never crossed my mind. I
Yeah.
mean, I was sleeping on the set. I used to fall asleep every day during notes. I don't find, and thank God.
Yeah.
Now, there are moments, there are times, there are projects where you have to be isolated, no question.
Yeah.
But it's a balance. And quite frankly, I don't experience my work in its fullness. It's not about me. I don't
Mm.
like focusing on me. There are times when I have to do my work, but when I'm not in that theater or in rehearsal,
Hmm.
I don't want to think about myself. I don't want to stare at myself. I don't want to reflect on myself. I want to be around other people. I wish, my children were here. I wish I had more distractions. I don't, actors that talk about they need to spend more time thinking about themselves. In my mind, the less time I spend thinking about myself, the more sentences I write in my journal that don't have an I or me in it, it's a better day. That's all I can say.
I promise I'll wrap this soon, Mike, because you got to get ready for the rest of your life.
I don't. You wrap it whenever you need to.
All
I'm
right.
here.
Thank you for that. But I guess I'm wondering, like, you go to St. John's up in Minnesota, which is Catholic University, as you mentioned. And I want to be very clear. I call this, personally speaking, this show on TV and radio because I want people to just share who they are. I don't really have any kind of standards for how people should live their lives. I mentioned that, like Peter Asher, who produced the Beatles, he was honest enough to come on recently and say, I don't believe in anything. No God, no afterlife, no nothing. Okay, but we still had room to talk. I've had people
Of
like
course.
Martin Sheen
Of
has been on,
course.
and Martin talks about his deep belief in Jesus Christ. So I guess I'm asking, like, in your background, was there faith formation, or was it something you came to on
Oh,
your own? Tell me.
oh, we were Irish Catholic. And, my parents, so was there faith formation? You were suited up and you went off to church. You went to CCD. Now, 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 I was the only one in my family who was not confirmed because I refused
Oh
at the
boy,
time,
we got
and
a
my
rebel
parents
here.
were getting a divorce, and
Uh,
it fell through the cracks. Now I'm the only one in my family. I believe, if I'm correct, that is a practicing Catholic. But let me be clear.
yeah,
I could. It doesn't. If my religion separates me from somebody else, if anything about my religion and belief in whatever I choose to believe in separates me from somebody else of another faith or belief or non belief or gender or race or
yeah,
anything, then I'm doing something wrong.
yeah,
I'm doing something wrong. I couldn't believe that more passionately. I mean, as they say in AA, God of our own understanding. Or
yes,
even the word God pisses some people off. Okay, I don't care what it is. You know, there's a higher power they call it. So there's a higher power, and I'm not it. So that's good enough for me to start with.
yeah,
Now, so there was a formation, and that my own spiritual hunger and how I've chosen to continue in 2012, I needed to come back to my faith.
mm,
But as Father Richard Rohr often says, with some of the mistakes the Catholic Church has made, he's not surprised why people
yeah,
don't want to be Catholic. Well,
right,
that's fine. That's fine. Uh, I don't care what somebody else is.
yeah,
I care that somebody else is kind, compassionate, generous of spirit. It's good to be funny and intelligence. Yes, I'd rather somebody be kind.
right,
But I do not know why I needed to come back to the church. I just did.
yeah,
And I don't ask that question anymore. I just
yeah,
do.
yeah. You reminded me as you speak, Michael, that that's really the message of the whole pontificate of Pope Francis, right? Everybody of every background, wherever you've been, whatever you've done, this is home, and whenever you're ready, you come home. And I'm just glad that Francis's words have touched a lot of people who, you're right, were at one point or another uh, pissed off, upset with the church and stuff. I do pre-Cana
Listen, I
for
mean, I said this when I started, and why is this play a gift? It's a gift because right now we are living through a time of extraordinary separation, of extraordinary isolation, of fundamentally of the idea where if you're different, you're not human.
yeah,
I can hate you. If you don't believe what I do, if I'm X and you're Y, I can hate you. And once somebody's not human, then we can kill them or we can hurt them with immunity, with our own inner immunity. This play takes that on. It's brutal, beautiful, it's funny, it's sexy, it's many things, but fundamentally, that beautiful, awful love story of two people, or in this, two cultures and two people. The other wasn't human. By the end of the play, the other is human.
Mm,
What happens then?
that's
I would love, that's why I would love, that's why it's a wonderful story to be told now.
Michael Hayden's been our guest. Michael, for our listeners and viewers who I hope will be traveling to New York, because this program is everywhere, but for those who come to New York, how and when will they see The Honey Trap?
We go into previews on Wednesday. We open on the 25th of September, and then we play through November 9th with a possible extension if enough of your listeners come and stand on their feet and scream for us. Then we get an extension of 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'm kidding, but it's a possible 2-week extension. So those are the parameters, and I dearly hope people come. Your listeners come, yeah.
And we will too. So my producer and I, we will be there to cheer you on too, and be touched heart, mind, and soul by this important play. I'd like to thank Michael Hayden for being with us. And Michael, I never know, walking into a conversation, how much a person is willing to share about who they are, what they believe. And I just appreciate your honesty. To be very honest with you, in doing first one I did many years ago with the film director, Frank Capra, he was great, but a lot of guests in between.
Oh my gosh, Frank Capra.
He was the best. I'll send you, in fact, the print of the interview, because I had to translate it, to a hard copy. But he was the best, and a man who also, like yourself, had wandered away from the Catholic Church for a while and then came home. But I mention that because some guests, they're the best in terms of sharing, and then some guests, they say what the canned answer will be. You haven't given me one canned answer here. You've been so spontaneous and honest and vulnerable, and I so appreciate you coming on Personally Speaking. Michael, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. What a pleasure to share this time with you, and I wish you the best.
Thanks for being with us on Personally Speaking. If you need to reach me, you can do that at personallyspeakingpodcast@gmail.com. You've probably been listening to this program on the Catholic channel on Sirius XM. You can also watch it on YouTube, searching under Personally Speaking with Msgr Jim Lisante. We're also on CatholicTV.org. You can see us on Facebook at Personally Speaking with Msgr Jim Lisante, and on Instagram at Personally Speaking Podcast. I'm privileged to serve as host and executive producer, Personally Speaking. Our producer is Lisa Jandovitz. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be with you again next time on Personally Speaking.